might be wondering what a political scientist is doing here with a cognitive neuroscientist.
Well, it turns out there's a really interesting relationship between politics and mental health, and we're running a collaborative project to understand this link further. So UCL's Grand Challenges programme is really its attempt to answer the world's most pressing problems by taking an academic perspective within the context of UCL's very broad remit of research.
I know that Grand Challenges is interested to tackle big and important questions in society, and our project is about one of these questions, one of these big challenges, so mental health, and especially in young people. And that's why I wanted to take part in it.
This project's aim is really to understand both the short and the long-term impacts of political stresses on mental health.
What we're doing in the project is actually to tackle young people because of the high prevalence rates of mental health problems.
Most research in this area has really looked at the influence of mental health on politics, but there's very little research looking in the other direction, i.e. the impact of political stresses on the way in which people experience mental health.
With the growing political polarisation, economic instability and climate change concerns, the future has never been more uncertain.
Universities should encourage these projects if they believe in interdisciplinary work and the value of putting together individuals with different expertise.
Because they are such intractable or difficult to get at problems that aren't going away, that are all interconnected, so we need to have interconnected solutions or approaches to them which are often interdisciplinary.
The UK general election in 2024 were actually a great opportunity for us to study the effect of politics on mental health. So we conducted a two-wave panel survey in the UK with roughly 1,500 people and a daily diary survey with roughly 250 people.
The most interesting findings have been looking at the interaction between political stress, mental health and socio-demographic factors.
People who didn't participate, they didn't go to the polling booth, they saw a drop in their well-being the next day.
And we found that people who subjectively perceive political events as more stressful actually have worse mental health, which is perhaps unsurprising. In our ongoing work with follow-up data, we're going to be in a better position to be able to disentangle that cause and effect and think about possible interventions. In order to understand how this could potentially have real-world impact, we think the findings will be really important in explaining to political parties how they might adjust their messaging or target different groups in different ways in order to reduce the impact of political stresses on mental health, and particularly for young people.
The next thing for us is to analyze the qualitative responses that we received from young people to understand what exactly of politics stresses them out. But we're also in the process of applying for a much bigger grant
in which we'll build on these exciting results that we've got in the UK context to look to see whether the same relationships apply across the world. Through providing this empirical evidence, we hope to raise this conversation in broader society, which should enable people to start thinking about how we can reduce the impact of political stresses on people's mental health. So it's brilliant that the UCL Grand Challenges has invested in this kind of project. What the university has done here is really provided the potential for a much larger piece of work that's going to investigate this really important question.